The story begins with Hawkman standing in a room with what appears to be government officials as he addresses them. These men are from an organization called the House of Un-American Activities Commit. It seems that they want him doing some espionage work for them, but with the condition that he reveals his secret identity. It'll be a real pleasure to inform on the commie rats nibbling away at this great country. What do you want to know, boy? We then cut to Oliver Queen the Green Arrow in his arrow cave as he practices his shots with his bow and arrows. This Green Arrow is like the main DC Universe Green Arrow. He's not as good of a shot and he's still kind of a novice with the bow and arrow. He receives a call from Roy Harper, his main DC Universe sidekick, who he then informs of his location as he misses his mark by a few inches. He then informs him of his plans go after a man called Jubal Slade. Jubal Slade is a depraved businessman whose actions inspire Oliver Queen to become Green Arrow. Roy objects, but Ollie reminds him of the island owned by Jubal Slade, kind of like Epstein's Island, and how he was deliberately marooned on one of Slade's islands after uncovering disturbing truths about Slade's operations and how this drove him to become the Green Arrow. As Roy objects to his crazy plans even further, Oliver Queen reveals that Slade owns the cops, he bought the courts, and that there's no way to take him down by the books. As Roy questions why it has to be him who takes Jubal down, Green Arrow gets enraged. Why not me? All this stuff I have, this money. What does it do? What do I do? As Roy tries to calm him down, he says, "Don't tell me to calm down, Roy, I mean it." He then furiously stabs one of his arrows on the table. This is the direction I was always headed, ending the call. We then cut to Hector Hammond. In the Absolute Universe, Hector Hammond is a flamboyant, wealthy businessman who gains control of the Green Lantern crash site, positioning himself as a manipulative power broker. He's on the phone with Jubal Slade and Oliver Queen is the subject of their discussion. He assures Slade that Oliver can be easily taken care of. He talks big, sure, but it's Ollie, you know? He doesn't want results, he just wants to feel righteous. And nothing feels more righteous than losing. He proposes a plan to get Ollie around a table with an offer of $5 million and assures that he'll go away within a month. As he walks towards a door, he's suddenly stopped by a security personnel who tells him all electronic devices are not allowed in the meeting. Hammond tries to protest this. "You know who I am, right? My business is worth more than most countries." He goes on bragging, but the security guard informs him that it's a condition of attendance and the only way to attend the meeting was go give away his electronic devices before he would be allowed. Hammond finally gives in and submits all electronic devices on his personnel and he's directed into the meeting. He's then welcomed by Veronica Cale, a powerful government official who serves as the National Security Advisor to the President and leads JS, Global Anti-Terrorism and Emergency Services. He introduces herself to his as the boss. Hammond then makes a joke. "If we're doing coffee orders, I'll take a macchiato SW Gary." Ra's al Ghul then reminds him that they aren't here to play games. Hammond retorts back, challenging him, but Circe cuts him off, telling him their time was for too precious to waste on little jokes. Agreed. I don't enjoy jokes. Circe then asks that they continue with the business that brought them there. Veronica then begins the presentation. New York, 1939. Chemist Wesley Dodds gets rich off his patents for improved anesthetic compounds. Soon after, a masked detective called the Sandman makes waves in the society pages, armed with a non-lethal sleep gas. Wesley Dodds is young, idealistic, romantic. It's not hard to put two and two together. Even before Dodds is found shot dead in his Sandman suit. His basement laboratory's been ransacked. A year later, the U.S. military acquires some new and very lethal nerve gas weapons. She then moves on to the next topic. She projects an image of the vigilante known as Wild Cat. So he busts some more small-time hoods, then medium-time hoods, working his way up. On a stakeout, he overhears a factory inspector taking a bribe from a munitions magnate to look the other way on safety standards. And then he comes into his $50,000. Tax-free. And that's the end of Wild Cat. He buys a gym in Schenectady, trains a couple of champions, dies peacefully in his sleep aged 81. She ends the projections and then explains how 16 people die from workplace accidents in the factory over the next 5 years, making the gas she mentioned earlier. She then projects the next image showing a man called Iron Monroe. A movie star and a real freak of nature. It was rumored that he could stop a bullet at 50 yards and outrun a locomotive. He then decides he wants to fight for justice. The never-ending battle seems to involve a lot of socialist meetings. He's called before HUC in a special closed-door session, around the same time as a couple of other adventures of the period, but Monroe refuses to name names. Calls McCarthy a demagogue. That's the end of him. Within a year, he's living in a lonely shack in the Nevada desert, which is accidentally targeted for a chemical weapons test. Someone filed the wrong paperwork, apparently. Monroe's lungs weren't as tough as the rest of him, but they were just as red. She goes on to explain how these three individuals acted outside of the status quo, and the status quo has dealt with those individuals, one way or another, and who remembers them now. That's how it's always been, until now. Then Wonder Woman appears on the screen. She then goes on to explain how Wonder Woman defeated the beast called the Tetracide. She explains how Wonder Woman arrived from hell, deafened the city, turned into the creature to stone, and destroyed it with a single punch. But the most concerning part was how she took operational command of the scene and troops deferred to her instinctively. This made her dangerous. She spoke of Superman and how he was violently disrupting the operations of Lazarus in Brazil, shrugging off artillery that would have blown a hole right through Iron Monroe, melting tanks with his eyes. Gotham City. The next person of interest, the Batman. This one appears to be human, we think. She then explains how he's able to accomplish feats no normal human really can. He disappears and reappears like a ghost. He wears an axe blade on his chest. He didn't take the money, said the Joker. He was speaking of a time when absolute Batman was offered millions, but rather than take it, instead he burned it. What else? A vast alien object falls on the town of Evergreen. A second gateway event, less telegenic this time, thank God. IT helps that the object isn't around anymore, but we know who the survivors of the event are. And they've been altered. Meanwhile, a military experiment at the Fort Fox base goes haywire. Again, there was at least one survivor, who remains altered and on the run. And what other beings are out there? What forms do they take? Are they even corporeal? We don't know. We can't know. She explains that things are escalating beyond their control. They're worried about what they can convince others to do and what they can inspire. She then proposes they all pull their resources together. No sale. Hammond cuts her off. He then explained how he can handle his business on his own and he didn't need any external help or team up. Ra's al Ghul tries to convince him otherwise, but he stands his ground, saying he doesn't need the help of Lazarus Corp to solve any of his problems. Then both Al Ghul and Veronica signal others, saying it's time. And they send in Hawkman. Hawkman walks in the room holding the dead body of Green Arrow and throws him on the table. His dead bashed in with Hawkman's mace. Hammond is shocked as he quickly stands up quickly in surprise of the fact that they had already killed Oliver Queen. This is how we solve problems. No games. And no jokes. This was a demonstration of power can do for money and what money can do for power. Still, Circe hesitates. She agrees with Hammond. She expresses how she doesn't see the need for any of them to be friends. No. Not friends. May I have the floor? The Joker asked. He shares some secrets with them, secrets he gained from a particle physics laboratory. But before he reveals this secret, he sends them a stern warning that if any of the information he was about to share with them reached any ears outside the room, he would take the matter very seriously. He begins to explain while Green Arrow's dead body still remained laid on the table. He explained how a particle he studied forms the basic building block of all creation and how it has a spiritual dimension to it, a moral dimension. Circe doubts how a subatomic particle can understand good and evil. She doesn't believe Joker is being serious. Ra's al Ghul quickly cuts in. He doesn't joke. He never joke. Listen. The Joker continues to explain how the fundamental forces of the universe trend in one direction, and now he knew that includes societal forces. With this discovery, we must now accept that there is, likewise, a moral gravity, pulling down, keeping everything that is in its place. He continues. The rich get richer and the poor gets poorer. Some hold the winning cards and some clutch at a handful of jokers. This is not chance. This is not accident. This is design. As he gets more and more emotional, he then goes on to explain what he calls the just world fallacy. He then explains how the world is just and that there was evidence of it, if spoiled little anarchists like Mr. Queen here would stand against that order. That I call injustice. And injustice must be fought with chaos. We must fight, and how can we fail? God is on our side. Joker then ends his statements by saying that they weren't friends. To claim friendship would be an insult and against the natural order. But they could be allies. They then toast the unordered world and to their new Justice League, as it's then revealed that the whole time this meeting had been taking place in the Hall of Justice.